God is my witness, how I long for you all in the heart of Christ Jesus. The actual original is, as all things Semitic, far more graphic. He has a desire, a longing for them in the entrails of Christ. He is begetting souls and is concerned for them. Paternity. We need fathers. It applies in families, fathers who are virile and can give the message, maintain it and protect it. We need it also in the pulpit and in the confessional. We need fathers of souls. The church has many administrators actually even in high places. But do they know the names of those individuals the Lord has asked them to care for? This actually is very close to the language of the now third open letter of Archbishop Vigano. It's extremely similar, the language used. He comes out with this, essentially: my concern is immortal souls. My own judgment and that of those committed unto us and for whom I bear a responsibility, knowing things and dying with secrets. Souls. This is not the letter of an administrator. This is the letter of a lover of souls. Never forget that in any debate, the bottom line is one immortal soul on the brink. If one is lost, it's just too much. The Gospel is interesting. Notice how they start off with praise, adulation. It's as though they have big thumps of the thurible before him. And then suddenly tell us, what is your opinion? Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Very clever. Well, this applies to us far more than to them. Now we're going to have, very soon, a huge part of the medical profession having to make a choice of this nature. Will I, even indirectly, collude with child murder to keep my job? A massive dilemma. But it can apply also to us. Compromise. Do you know that a little bit of compromise leads to a great loss of peace and a lowering of the quality of life inside? Do you know that wherever we go, we carry that inside? We can never get away from it, try what we may. In the 1950s, a young married man called Jacques Fesch wanted at all costs to get away from it. He would have peace and quiet and some kind of bliss if he had enough money to have a big yacht and disappear from it all. Unfortunately, he hadn't the means and he could only get it by robbery. He didn't calculate properly and he was caught. And in the process, he had managed to kill a policeman who got him. With a pistol, he'd sent him to eternity. We're in the 1950s, and that had serious consequences in the French prison system. He knew what it meant, literally. The prison chaplain was a father of souls. This one was not to be lost. With the help of the Holy Ghost, he found the word that would get through to him. and placed before him all eternity. Out of the blue, something warmed his heart. Now I've got nothing to lose or gain on this side, but everything on the other. And he made a huge about turn. As it happens, he has very good handwriting, and we have all his letters leading up to the guillotine. Interesting, the death penalty in his case was a mercy. And do you know that so great was the turnabout in prison that they're trying to get him beatified? It was 1957. He went with a supreme joy, 1 second after losing his head. So, what use was it had he had his boat, but his bad conscience with him? There he left his body behind, but he had bliss. Do you know also that the devil knows that the one thing that matters is one immortal soul? He knows also that the Lord had a project for saving that one soul. The Roman Catholic Church. That is, the Catholic Church before its division essentially, but as we see now in the East, they are prone to division and subdivision. It's a complex issue. A church with its own head is called autocephalous. Can have great freedom, but it can also get in a great mess. It's only when we have Peter we're safe. So the true church has to be with Peter, it can't be elsewhere. But do you know that the devil has been at this for quite a long time? Because he knows that the direct means is precisely the church gathered round Peter. This is where he's got to strike. I've told you before how in the end of the 1900s, or rather beginning of the 1900s, end of the 1800s, he managed to bring in to trunks of Europe, France notably, very clever anti-clerical laws. And we know also that it was directly satanic. Satan would actually appear in the Grand Orient Lodge in Paris and tell them the next step. That was already a huge success, but partial. Why? It was from the outside. And then they realized it was not going to work. There was something bigger than them, a cohesion which was massively resistant. So, two things happened in parallel, always traceable to Lucifer, who was trying always to destroy the one true church. He destroyed its unity in 1054, now he's trying to destroy it again, but this time the western part, Peter. So, this is fact. Joseph Stalin, he, without knowing it as an instrument of Lucifer, was going to be a means also of destroying the means of grace. Already, from 1917 onwards, the power of the Eastern Church had been greatly reduced. But he knew the danger of the Roman Catholic bloc. And we know now that under him was launched a huge offensive precisely on this attack from within. That the only way that they could actually destroy the Catholic Church, which was so perfect in its defense and structure, was to infiltrate it. One day, I was passing through a suburb of Paris on the way back from Fontainebleau to my own abbey. And I was talking to two priests in the same carriage who had been on retreat. I'd just given that. And he said to me, "Do you see this parish here? In the 50s, strange things were seen to be going on there. Every so often, big, black, Russian cars were drawing up there, and people dressed in black, looking mysterious, were going in there and coming out a few hours later. and the parishioners were puzzled. What's going on there? It transpired that one of the brilliant young priests there was apparently celebrating validly the sacraments, but he was in collusion with these Russians who were reporting back to HQ in Moscow. So it was the tip of the iceberg. Some years ago, a young priest died, and they found in his possession the records of his activities and how he had been groomed, sent by the communists, but groomed to be an excellent priest in the Catholic Church, well camouflaged, but being ordained, and then to work within. We know also, notice this bit, that instructions had been given from the wrong side to encourage greatly homosexuals in such a way that there would be homosexuals defending homosexuals and eventually rising to power. People, therefore, who would be living a double life and would be apparently good functionaries, but with no interior life. Do you know also that before the great Archbishop Fulton Sheen died, he received one big fish into the church, Belladonna. She made public this testimony. She had to confess, and to the public, through him, that she'd given her life to the wrong side and had worked for the communists for years. Her instruction had been to groom and prepare the most brilliant young communists she could find, to instruct them as to how to keep a low profile, to give all the appearances of credibility, and to pass through all the network which would lead them to high places in authority as Catholic priests and higher. And do you know that the figure that she gave of the number that she had managed to groom and prepare and get through seminaries and through ordination was around, wait for it, 1,100 excellent priests with instructions from the wrong side. Now, we know also that the parallel ploy had been there from the Freemasonry to destroy from within, and that they had in their mandate this instruction. We are like soldiers in a war. We will not see the end of this war or the final victory, but we will fight it as though we did. And so, down the line, in 2018, the tip of the iceberg at last is seen. Praise God. This week, I have to go back to the studio of LMFM, isn't it? And give the Catholic point on Halloween. It's difficult. Fortunately, Jerry Kelly has the faith and is sympathetic as an interviewer, but I've got to get across in an interview, a prime time listening, which will be broadcast on Halloween, I presume itself, the real story behind Halloween. It's the one feast officially allowed, so that one may be honoured liturgically, as it were, whereas all the others, including Christmas, are holidays, neutralized. This one now is public and explicit. We honor the dark. We honor who? The very one who wants our soul. Those who have magical powers, not conjurers, magicians, have sold their soul. Many a pop star has sold his or her soul for success, for powers. Why? It's known. Do this and Satan answers immediately. There are testimonies on YouTube, some horrific, of what actually goes on. Human sacrifice. Children being bred, never registered, but made for sacrifice. It's all blood. Satan must have blood. Where does it leave us? If we're aware of what's at stake, we can't afford to doze. On our part, we have responsibility for the knowledge that we have. We have to speak out. We have to hand on. We have to protect the sacred, attacked head on. And we have to love Jesus who is offended. I hand this over to you, which I wrote the other day, aware of what's actually going on. We're in hand-to-hand contact with the powers that be. There is a space that has no place to be upon a map, trapped, a measured land. There is an hour where old eternity begins to be, and evermore shall stand. There is a sound that found shall e'er resound upon the membranes of the long-lost ear. There is a solitude upon the cosmic code where many dwell alone and all alone, with friends now lost and tossed in heat untold, in one new home that none would ever own. There is, I say, a very distant land, beyond geography, beyond the void, made not for man, but for a demon band, that with a power upon now once toyed, but found a kingdom foul, where howling long is all that shall be sung in damned song.